uh, from STEM in a Box. Our company is TechTerra Education. Our product is STEM in a Box, and we'll be talking with you, obviously, right there on the screen about STEM in a Box today, but really about STEM learning. I'm a founder and CEO of the company, but my background, I think we've got mostly ladies in here. I should say ladies and gentlemen, in case there are any gentlemen in here as well. But my background is a school principal forever. So I was a school principal for 17 years before starting the company. And I started this work in my own schools. I did primary with pre-K through 5th grade, as well as middle school 6th through 7th grade as a principal. So I've got 30 some years in the world of public education, pre-K all the way through 8th grade as an administrator, and I taught high school math. So kind of the whole gamut as we start talking about STEM and hands-on learning and kind of the best practices for how we engage kids in a large way. We also have Angela Rivenbark here in the room. She too is a longtime educator, and she is our director of customer service. So if we have the opportunity to work with you, you will meet Angela again, because she is the one who wants to make sure you're getting everything answered that you need to get answered and get all that training for your staff. And we'll talk a lot more about that, but it's really important to have that ongoing training in all of the world of education. We've got a lot of turnover right now. You all might, I hope in your organizations you don't, but every organization I talk to around the country seems to have a lot of turnover. That's just our reality. So making sure that whatever you're kind of investing in, you've got that training that continues and continues, and that support that continues. But let's go ahead and get started. We're talking today about learner-centered education. We do have a chat box, I think. Angela, help me out with this. I'm sure, yep, we sure do. And there's in the chat, Angela will be monitoring the chat. So you're certainly welcome to shout out any questions, but if you'd rather type them into your chat, she is here and she'll be catching those questions. If you have a mind to say, hey, I'd like to talk more, put it in the chat. She'll grab you on up and she'll make sure we get back to you. But for the time being, I'm going to be driving. We are talking about a learner-centric approach with STEM. And I'm betting that this is not news to any of you. You all probably know we need to be learner-centric. That just is kind of inherent in the world we all work in with young people. For us, specific to our programming, that means a few things. It means that hands-on, of course, has to be critical. And right now we're talking a lot about our world of pre-K. But I'm talking, pre-K all the way through high school. People learn from doing. It's just a fact. I always think about that, teach me to fish, You can show me a bunch of videos about fishing. You can talk about fishing, but when you hand me that fishing pole, I'm going to get a sense of, oh, this is what this is really about. And that's the way it is with learning. When we're hands-on with our learning, it will become part of something we own. So as we talk about this learner-centric approach, that's just a critical piece. And I know people are still coming in, and I know somebody else probably from Smart Start is admitting them in. It's flashing up on my screen, but I know that somebody's letting people in, which is wonderful, and we welcome everybody to come in. Again, we're going to be talking about this approach, but we're also today talking about STEM in a Box programs, which is what we do. And we are pre-K through high school. I know that most of you probably in the room, I think, are pre-K. You're probably, you might be 0 to 5. You might be 3 years old to 5. But some of you may also be working in the world of after school or summer programming where you're school age as well. And just so you know, we are basically 3-year-old through 18, 21-year-old if they're still in high school. We don't do the 0 to 3. So that's not part of what we're doing. So today we're talking really about the pre-K world. So hands-on is the number one thing you're going to see. The benefit of providing that hands-on exploration, and that's our approach with STEM. You all might already be doing, actually, I'm going to give you a survey here in just a second about what you're already doing in STEM and STEAM. But a lot of approaches come at this world with, we're going to do robotics. We're going to do coding for young children. That's all great, but we believe it's much bigger than that and wider in scope than that. And we want kids to explore that world. When you look at our programming and how it's set up from this learner-centric, you'll see it's very, very organized, but kids do have a lot of voice and choice. So there's a lot of voice and choice, but we know it can't be chaos either. So we're going to talk a lot about kind of organizing this exploration of STEM. And then we're going to talk about connecting that to the things that, kids have to learn: literacy, math, science, social studies, and even engineering. And then how kids work together for 21st century learning with communication and collaboration and working kind of in that shared teamwork. So just to get started, we have, this is a quick, I forgot I put that in there. That's a quick photo of one of our year-round STEM in a Boxes. Again, I'll be talking more about that, but our programming is unique in that it is sustainable over years of time. When you make that decision for your investment for a STEM in a Box, you're going to get 3 years of programming, 3 years of durable tools. We don't do the consumable piece, just so you know, and I'm not knocking anybody else's stuff. I love arts and crafts and things. It's just not what we do. So when you get a STEM in a Box, you're going to find there are heavy duty tools and enough, in fact, student facing activities for the next 3 years. And that's different. It's unique in market. But real quick, a STEM survey. I think we can put, gosh, Angela, I'm glad you're here. I think we can put hands up. I'm not sure, but there is a chat box. So the first thing, if your cameras are on, how many of you are doing STEAM and STEM now? Just either a show of hands if your cameras are on, or you can go into the chat box and say yes or no if you're doing STEM or STEAM now. Just so we get a sense of kind of what people are currently working with. I see some thumbs up. So people are currently doing some things in STEM. And remember, if you want to turn your camera on, it's lovely. I love Deborah has her camera on. It's lovely for me because I feel like I'm talking. Thank you, Deborah. Deborah, I feel like I'm talking with somebody, so it's super helpful. So I see some thumbs up, and I see Angela. Did we have more thumbs up, or were you doing it, not doing it?
Yes, we have people saying yes. We've had one person who say they need to expand their program. We've got some thumbs up, and we've got some answers going in the chat.
Okay, awesome. And the second question, of course, is how many of you have to gather materials and supplies for your activities? What we find across the country is that STEM is hard. And I'm going to use STEM, by the way. I need to say this, guys. I know it's STEM, it's STEAM, it's STREAM, it's STEM. If you followed, the adding the medical onto STEM. We know there are a lot of acronyms, and just for the sake of kind of this work, we're just saying STEM, but we totally recognize that arts is an inherent part of STEM. We recognize that literacy and reading is an inherent part of STEM. So just know that that's an acronym we'll use. And I sometimes don't say STEM, STEAM, and sometimes I do. So we do know that across the country, there are a lot of people who say they would love to do more with STEM and STEAM, but there's so many supplies to gather. There's so many things they have to gather. And then their site leads and their instructors have to then come up with a lesson or go out and find a lesson. So if that's you, just anything you want to put in the chat box, again, Angela is monitoring that for us, and I appreciate that. And then of what you're using right now, is it sustainable over multiple years? If you've made an investment, is it for 2 years, 3 years, 1 year? Again, something else we find that many things that are kind of in market are like 10 weeks. And, your 3-year-olds are going to get to be 4-year-olds. What are they going to do next year? And those 4-year-olds are going to be 5-year-olds. And if you've made an investment in STEM programming, I would want something that would last because it is an investment. So those are just some quick survey questions. If you want to respond in the chat, I'm just going to, wait time is like my hardest thing. I always say I'm going to give wait time, and then Angela will probably laugh at me because she knows I really have a hard time, like giving people time to answer, but I'm going to try. This is me being quiet for a minute, Angela. I would like for you to record it, that it's actually happening, except it's not. It's bad. Okay, hopefully everybody's had 30 seconds to respond. Again, it is an area of growth for me to try to do better with that. This is work you guys already know. With your young people that you're looking at cognitive development, you're looking at emotional development, you're looking at academic success. So what we talk about is where STEM comes into that. And in terms of cognitive development, of course, we look at curiosity and the exploration, again, of this whole world of STEM that I'm going to show you. Technology is kind of the world we live in, of course. And then collaboration is also the world we live in. Nobody lives in a silo. We really don't. We did all for a minute during those years of 20 and 21, but really we don't function in a silo. So kids early on, need to have those opportunities to communicate and collaborate. And I hope not with our pre-K programs, but certainly for our school age programs, there's a lot of STEM out there right now where kids put headphones on and they stare at a screen and they type their answers in, and they watch a video and they type their answers in. And those are STEM programs that are in market. And I got to tell you all from my heart, that's just not right. That is not really how kids are going to learn STEM. They're going to have to do something. So as you think about that promotion of collaboration, just kind of keep that at heart. The Learner Center, I've got sinus. It's been raining here as I was just, it's rained and rained and rained in Sinus City. Learner-centric, learner center model does some things for us, which is why that's what we're really talking about today. It's what we built STEM in a Box around. And that's about encouraging student independence, encouraging that exploration. Of course, play. Of course, play. Kids learn through play. When we look at that exploratory learning, you can kind of pull each one of those, I don't know, forms of thought, pedagogies apart, exploratory, collaborative, problem-based, but we believe it's all of those things. When I started this programming in my own schools, now years ago, we've been at this since 2011, 2012, a long stretch, before any of the STEM tools I'm going to show you even existed. My focus was on fun. That was number one for me, because I know that I can engage kids if they're having a good time. I know I can. If they're hands-on and they're learning and they're having fun, I know I can keep them engaged. So that's one of our core foundations of an activity-based model. Looking at our programming, we use that learner-centric model for rotations. How many of you, and I'm guessing it's most, if not all, how many of you have learning centers right now where kids are moving? And you may call them different things. You may call them activity stations. Everybody has kind of different names, but I'm betting a lot of you have things. If you're working with the 3 to 5-year-olds, you're going to have imaginative play. You might have a literacy center. You might have a math center, might have a block center. It just depends. That's really how we built the STEM in a Box for our pre-K world, is using that kind of very common model of exploration through centers for kids to work within this world of STEM. Now you can see a few centers, and by the way, we'll share this slide deck out with you, so not to worry if you want to come back to it. But this is just a quick example of 4 centers being open. In this case, all 4 of these are STEM centers. As I get deeper into this, I'm going to explain that we have built our curriculum for however you want to use it, but one way people use it, certainly in the pre-K world and in the school age world, is everybody's doing STEM at one time. So we might have multiple learning stations set up, all STEM centric. But we also know that there may already be centers set up, right, in a pre-K classroom. So you may well want to have your traditional math center and literacy center and imaginative play center and a STEM center. So when you're using our curriculum, the STEM in a Box curriculum, we recognize there are different approaches to that, and our curriculum matches both of those kind of core approaches. Again, we'll talk more about that. Y'all, again, remember, Angela's in the chat. If you've got questions, if I'm saying things and you're like, I don't know what she's talking about, please ask the questions. She will make me stop. She's super good at that. So here's just a quick photo of some precious angels working in robotics. This is one of our screen-free robotics tools. You all might know MatataBot already. They are coding both directional code. They're also coding music, so they can also create music with this particular bot. We use lots of different tools. This one is fantastic just because, again, it's very hardy. And as you see with STEM in a Box, yes, this is robotics, but you're going to see in a minute that we're exploring that whole world of STEM. So this is only one of the many learning-centric stations that we have. But hands-on learning, curiosity, discovery, that's what it's all about. And again, I bet that's not news to anybody in the room. What I want to walk through with you right now are those stations that we include. So if you don't mind in the chat, just put in there, because then Angela will let me know, what ages are you working with right now? Are you the 0 to 5? Are you 3 to 5 years old? Are you school age? Are you high school? Or are you all of those things? If you just take a quick second, and Angela, I really am going to stop talking.
We have quite a few birth to 5 and 2 and 3-year-olds.
Very good. Very good. So again, our programming starts at 3 years old. So we start the program we're going to talk with you about is the 3 to 5-year-old. So we don't do the birth to 3. It's just not something we've done. It is compelling to consider STEM for that, but for us, we start at that 3-year-old because these STEM stations I'm about to show you, and again, this learner-centric stations, these stations are the same stations for our 3-year-olds, our 4-year-olds, our 5-year-olds, all the way up to our high schoolers. So what changes? Well, of course, the tools change. Of course, the lessons change, right? But as our very young kiddos begin to build understanding in these areas and begin to play with this stuff and make these amazing discoveries, it is so cool to see the 3-year-olds move on, and now they're in 3rd grade and they've got a real grasp of the kinds of things they're working with already. It almost, I use the word magical probably too often, but it sometimes feels magical for sure. The first station we're going to talk about that's included in every STEM in a box and that we believe is central to STEM learning, from all the research we've done over this last 12, 14 years, is circuitry. And you might say, Susan, circuitry for young students, is that a good idea? We're not having them plug into a wall socket, not to worry, but there are circuitry tools that we use. It's a form of what you see there in front of you. It looks different than that, but it's similar, where kids are working. And in fact, they're making things go, right? They're making things work. They're connecting things, and what happens? A light turns on, a fan comes on, not something dangerous fan, but things are happening and they're making that happen. And they are understanding the connection between, here are these pieces and I connected them correctly and now something happened. And it's just amazing to see. So that's a core station. Yes, Angela. Are you muted? I can't hear you.
I am not muted
Oh,
now.
okay.
So we're seeing lots of comments on Snap Circuits. People love it.
Yeah.
One of the questions that we have right now from Dr. Chance is, can our learning materials be modified for younger children?
Yeah, I think it really is an interesting question. We've got Dr. Chance, a group in Puerto Rico we're working with, and they've asked us to do 2 things, one of which we've already done. We've done a translation to Spanish, just so you know, and only at the pre-K level, because that's required there in Puerto Rico. For the teachers, actually, the kids are learning English, just kind of an interesting side note. But that's not what you asked me, Angela. What you asked was, can we modify? And we are looking at a modification for our very youngest learners. We're not there yet, but stay tuned. What I would say is, if there's, if today in this room and following up from being at the conferences, if there's a lot of interest, we have educators right now, pre-K through high school, with a tremendous amount of experience. And if there's interest in that, then we'll get to work. We'll get to work. What we look at, of course, first is safety, Dr. Chance. I mean, that's the very first thing. So when we look at the different tools and the small parts, that's what we're most aware of. You're going to see some things today that you're going to go, oh yeah, for sure, I could modify that for sure for my 2 and 3-year-olds, no question. 0 to 1 to 2, I'm not sure. We have certainly worked with, you all know how this goes, right? We've been in pre-K settings where we've been working with the STEM in a box. As we were building out programs, we always build them out with real teachers and real students, and supposed to be 3 to 5, but there are a bunch of 2-year-olds in there. So we've been there, we've done it. It was not what we expected, but it was great, and we just had to be really mindful of, especially the safety aspect. So you guys know Snap Circuits already from what Angela's telling me. Probably the one you're looking at in this photo is a school age. So we would start that one, with our school age, but we use one for those younger learners that called the beginner Snap Circuits. But we do love them. You guys know them already, and they're just super fun, and the kids are making those discoveries. The next station included in every STEM in a box is connected learning. Angela, I thought I would have too much time, but you are going to have to watch my time, because you know how I just go on. She'll just put a big stop sign up. Don't worry, not to worry. She'll stop me. Connected learning, we define that as just that bridging the gap between those hands-on tools and that digital kind of game-based learning. Some of you may already be using Osmo. Osmo was created for 3 to 5-year-olds starting. Again, we're seeing in this picture, we certainly would have our 5-year-olds, that's letter play. But for our 3 and 4, we use a kit called a Little Genius. Osmo kit, and they're working with shapes, they're working with imaginative play, with costuming. It's absolutely, oh, it's just so much fun and so much learning with that. So again, I hope I'm making sense with this. All of these stations are in every STEM in a Box. So if you're interested in STEM in a Box programming, you get all of this. And you'll notice already that it's not consumable. These are tools that last, right? There's nothing here that's the kind of the pipe cleaners, not knocking pipe cleaners. I'm just saying it's not what we do. These are heavy duty tools. So connected learning is the next station. Again, the tools change, the lessons change as we move up from our 3-year-olds to our, school age, middle school, high school, but the station stays the same. The next station, and this is a 5-year-old making a movie right here, is stop motion animation. And I don't know if any of you all are working right now with green screens or movie making or stop motion, and you might look at this and go, are you kidding me with 3-year-olds? But I promise you, I have sat, and with 2-year-olds as well, not knowing that there were 2-year-olds in the room, but with very young students, and they have a very clear sense of what they want to create. It's quite amazing. So there's a whole process why we plan what they're going to make for their stop motion animation movie, why they draw it out, why they take clay, real clay, not Play-Doh. I'm Play-Doh's tough. Real clay that lasts for a very, very long time, as long as it goes into a bag. Obviously little figures like that, and they make their own movies and their own stories, which again, there's magic to that because they're so cross content. The kids are telling an oral story, fantastic literacy skill for them. The kids are counting, and they can make their own stop motion animation about, I had 3 balls of clay, now I've got 1 more ball of clay, and now I'm going to put them all in the shot. So now how many do I have? So they're connecting that numeracy with the actual physical pieces. It's really pretty incredible. Again, movies change, the stop motion animation movies change as the kids' ages change, but that tool remains the same. We move from that to coding, and I don't know if any of you are doing some screen-free coding right now, some tangible coding. This is actually using different pieces. The students in this picture are using different pieces, and then there is a little digital story, again, kind of game-based learning, but this can be used entirely screen-free. And most of the time with our pre-K, it really is used entirely screen-free. But imagine directional code. Walk forward, walk backward, turn right, turn left, things kids have to do. Following directions and following them in a sequence is the coding station. And again, we have tangible tools for that make it play-based, The next is augmented reality. I don't know if anybody's using any AR tools right now. Do you guys know the Oculus viewers, that your vision, you put them on and you're kind of inside this virtual world? Any nodding? I can only see some of our people. I see Angela nodding. So we don't use those. I say that because we talk about virtual reality with that viewer that, you can't see anything. And then we talk about augmented reality where we're in a group, like you see these 2 young ladies and they're interacting together and they're learning together. We use augmented reality because we want kids to be communicating and working together and collaborating on a project. In this, what you see in this particular picture is one of our young ladies who's wearing what's called a virtual ET. It's a virtually, so it looks like a skeleton, right? And we dive right into the human body using that app. And now we're inside the human body, and it's so much fun, but also so much learning. And then they switch off and they can see their heart and see their circulatory system. Now, again, our youngest learners aren't going to use that terminology, but they're going to use some of that. We know when we see a heart, we know when we see bones. Super fun. We have other AR tools, of course, with our youngest learners. We have animals, we have space, we have careers, which is very fun, dinosaurs. So there are a lot of different augmented reality tools that are included with STEM in a Box programming. The next station is engineering design. So that's really the design process. So that is, we're going to create something. But there's a process for creating something. So when we create, we have to think about it first. We have to brainstorm first. So we have tools where kids are actually looking at different picture cards and thinking about, what if I could create anything, what could I create? I know one picture is a picture of dogs, and there's a backpack, and the kids think, I'm going to create a backpack for dogs. But that whole idea of imagining something and then walking their way through the design process, trying it out, trying again. That's kind of the design process. So we include different tools for our youngest learners to create with. But again, through a process, right? Because then they'll know for the next time. Here we go again with now these children are in fact coding music. I can see Little Red Riding Hood. I don't know that song, but right here we see some of our girls. They're back to Matatabot with robotics, and they are coding music with the Matata Lab. There are so many things to do with this particular robot, and our pre-K I do know comes with at least one of these Matata Lab robotic sets, but there are others as well. I'm going to point those out in some of the photos in just a minute and show you some of the other robots, because we want our youngest learners to understand that just because you see this iteration of a robot, you could see 4 more, and they all actually work pretty similarly. They all have some things in common. They're all going to have a microcontroller. That's a big word for 3-year-olds, but it's really the brain of a robot. And when kids start to recognize that, they're all going to have lights, LED lights, and kids will start to recognize, oh, I can turn the light on. I can move the bot. They can have some kind of motor running them. And we want kids to recognize that just because they see this one robot, let's take a look at this one and let's do a little compare and contrast. How are they similar? How's the movement similar? So that's our robotic station. Again, we'll tell you later exactly all that you're getting. So those are your stations of STEM, I believe, if I'm right. I think there are 7 stations of STEM within every STEM in a box. And you get enough of those tools so that kids can be in these small groups, whether the groups are anywhere from 2 to 4 to 6 young people in a group, where they can be. Remember that slide I showed you where we were going through the different stations, and they were in robotics, and then they were in coding and engineering, because they could move from those, or you could have just one station set up. So you could say, I'm just doing robotics for the next 2 weeks, and that's the only station of STEM you have set up. And then maybe the next 2 weeks you say, we're going to do circuitry. And the next 2 weeks, we're going to do, stop motion animation and so on. Is that making sense? I'm counting on you, Angela, with the chat box to let me know. Okay. So then it gets to like, well, what's next? How do we actually make all this work? Because we said this was good for students and for teachers. And I hope it's clear that it's super fun and good for students. It is exploratory. It is really using their critical thinking and exploring all these new and different things and creating. We know there's plenty of FaceTime on screens for kids. So you'll notice a lot of this is screen free, particularly for our pre-K. All of our robotics that we use at pre-K are screen free. So you saw with that Matata, there's no screen there, and I'll show you again some others. Well, one of them sitting right here on the top right, that's Kobo. You can't quite see him, but he's a little snail. And we have big oversized puzzle pieces, and he is going to follow those. Can you guys see that on the top right? We can see that forward. There's a little diamond, I think he sings, but there are different puzzle pieces he comes with, and you can code him along the map or along the puzzle pieces. But again, a screen-free robot. So with setup, so we've got all these stations. How do we make this easy for teachers? Well, that's where that ongoing support comes in. And one thing I want to assure you that Angela's team, including Angela herself, she is there, but her team is there to support all of our customers once they are purchasing STEM in a Box programs, once they've made that investment. As a school principal, I'll tell you guys, I saw things sitting on shelves. We would buy things and they sat. I don't know if any of you have ever experienced that. I hope you haven't, but I did. And that's like the worst, because it never touches kids. That's the whole purpose of this, is that kids get a chance to work with this. But I think what happened was 2 things. One, whoever was super enthusiastic to purchase it, maybe they left, maybe there was staff turnover. But I think the second thing that happened is teams don't work in isolation either. Teacher teams, instructional teams. So you might have this person, and you might have a paraprofessional, and you might have a parent volunteer who's helping out. And to ensure that all of those people understand, well, how do I use that Kobo robot? How do I use snap circuits? You need that training that's multi-part. You need that training that's ongoing. You need to be able to pick up the phone or send an email and say, hey, Angela, I need one of your team members to pop in with this group, because I've got new people. And yeah, I get it, but my new people need your time. No problem. It's already included. It's already part of what you purchased, and we pop in and we'll give you that support. So I think I keep going amiss from this setup. The setup is easy once you get kind of trained up, again, that's where your team came in, Angela, because once you get set up, you'll walk through like, okay, I've got that Kobo. What's in that box? Does it need to be charged? Does it need batteries? Side note, almost everything of ours is rechargeable. Again, I told you nothing left to buy, except I think 2 AA batteries for snap circuits. And then we've got another screen-free robot, Cubetto, that does take AA batteries. And that's it. There are no supplies. You're not having that volcano erupt and go buy the baking soda again. That's just not what we do. When we say no consumables, we really do mean it. So the setup, our trainers, Angela's team is going to walk through with you. How do we set up that station that's robotics? Do you guys see in that first picture, back to my little snail on the top right, do you see that sign? I don't know if you, I don't know how, it's probably too small to see, but it says robotics. We actually include a set of signs for you, and they're laminated signs, of course, but that's kind of like, why do you include that? Well, if you're going to put that out, with 3 or 4 stations out, it's so nice to be able to say to kids, guys, look at what's out today. The robotics station is out. And they can see that sign even before anything's sitting there. They'll know, oh, okay, great. Oh, I really wanted to do circuitry. Okay, maybe circuitry is out, or maybe it comes out tomorrow. But that sign set does help you kind of organize your space. So for each of your 6, I think 7 stations, you're going to have a sign for each station. So in this one, you see augmented reality is sitting there with its sign, robotics, snap circuits is circuitry, and then you've got connected learning sign is out. So it makes it really, really nice to kind of organize that space. You get things laid out. Our trainers walk through with you the really efficient setup so that your people do not have a ton of things to do. And they walk through with you not just setup, but kind of the cleanup after the fact. And the next thing we do in terms of making this easy for teachers, again, we know it's welcoming and great for kiddos, but for teachers is we go through the preparation and practice. How do you prepare those different learning centers? How do you have kids practice once they get there? How do we, if there is an app, and with the augmented reality, for instance, that there is an app for that because they're diving into the human body. Again, no app for most of the tools, but there are a couple. So we make sure that your instructional team understands exactly what that preparation looks like. And then we encourage you to practice with the kids, right? Because once the kids have practiced going to their station, they've got it. And you all know that already. I mean, kids are pretty amazing once they know that there is a very clear routine. And within our curriculum and within our support team, they will walk you through a very, very clear preparation and practice for the stations as you go through them. Again, I know a lot of you already do that with your learning centers, but we have it in place for the stations as well. And then what do your adults in the room do with that once the kids have those stations, once they practiced them? For the most part, guys, your instructors become that coach at the shoulder, that facilitator. So certainly with STEM in a Box, it's far less direct instruction. Once the kids are onboarded with the tools, of course, there's that first piece. But once they know how to use the different tools, they actually have independent activity kind of cards, and they take their card and they take their tool and off they go with their small group, whoever you've assigned, to do that work and to do that exploration. Again, probably very, very similar to what you're doing now with different centers. But we don't do, gosh, Angela, almost never, we don't do where everybody's doing the same thing. And the reason for that is kind of voice and choice, that kids want to have some choice in what they're doing. They want to have a voice, and my favorite is this. I wish I could do this. Not that they always get to choose, but having that voice and choice, I will tell you, whether it's young people, and again, you all may have experienced this, or whether you're working with a group of adults, doing adult training with 30 people in the room, that front row, man, you've got them. They're right there with you. That back, kind of in the middle, they're probably cooperative, but your back row, they're probably on their phone if they're adult learners, but little ones are kind of like that too, right? They're squirrely, just like adults are, and making sure that we keep them highly engaged is one of the reasons that we have created these stations of STEM and coming at this through this learning center approach. So facilitation is the next piece, having that kind of guide at the side, the guide at the shoulder, and that brings us to kind of the programs themselves. So within our programs for pre-K, and again, I know the question early on was kind of ages and could this kind of move to younger? I would say we have to look, we have to look at the size of a lot of the pieces. There are some tools for sure. Back to that one at the top right, that little snail, for sure, that little snail could be used, younger, because it's big, oversized pieces. There are no small pieces, but a lot of the tools do have smaller pieces that you wouldn't want to have to think about with swallowing. So, but we'll think about that. If that's if that's something that you all need, a STEM program for your younger that would follow this kind of learning center approach, let us know. Throw it in the chat box, email us, let us know. STEM in a Box lessons are created again by our certified instructors, very experienced, so that this will look familiar to you when you look at the curriculum. When you are looking at our programming at STEM in a Box, you will always get three things. One thing you'll always get is the curriculum itself, with the activities and student-facing activities in the curriculum. You'll always get long-lasting, durable tools, and you'll always get training. So those are the three foundational pieces of any STEM in a Box. All of that's included. We think that without that, it's not a complete program. We also will tell you that this is, gosh, Angela, for the year round, we're looking at probably 200 hours of programming. We also have theme-based, you see there in the bottom right-hand corner. We use those a lot for summertime programming. If you guys are doing something different kind of with summer camp, that's often how things like backyard bugs and try that again. Backyard bugs and bots, superhero STEM, coding and robotics screen-free. That's how those are used often. We call them theme-based programs. They're formulated a little bit differently because so many places are offering something special for summertime, not to say they can't be used during the year. Right in the center of the page here, you see our newest, I was going to say, I don't know what I was going to say there. Most new would be really incorrect. Our newest STEM in a Box program, which is the Science of Reading and Science of Math. I don't know if any of you all are right now in North Carolina. I don't think it's been mandated, but a lot of states we work in, it is mandated that starting at 3 years old, there has to be a science of literacy, science of reading approach. So we have created STEM in a Box that includes actual books about STEM and engineering, and super fun, developmentally appropriate. So we have a book for our 3-year-olds, a book for our 4-year-olds, a book for our 5-year-olds. You get a class set of, I think it's 6 or 7 books in each kind included in the STEM in a Box. And we work on early vocabulary, early phonemic awareness, fluency, comprehension. All of those core pieces of the science of reading are included in that program. And I will tell you all, we are so proud of that. And it's been extremely successful in terms of our sales, but I'm just so proud of it as an educator because it's good for kids. It's good to still be hands-on. It's good to read. It's good to have a real book. It's good to still have all those stations. So with that science of reading and backyard bugs and superhero and the screen-free coding and robotics, you're still getting the stations of STEM, but then you get a theme within that. You get a core focus. So we are extremely proud of the science of reading and math because it really is pulling in those very early skills. Obviously, in the area of math, that very early numeracy is being pulled in with hands-on tools. So that's just another program that's new for us. We're very, very excited about it. Wanted to share that kind of right up front. But within all of our STEM in a Box programs, you will have in our full STEM in a Box programs for the full class of, I didn't say that, of up to 30, of which you guys would never have up to 30, which is why oftentimes it's split into 2 classes, or it's shared, or it's in a checkout. A lending library is often where it's kept in the different pre-K environments. But it is for up to 30 students. We do have a smaller one. I'm going to share that with you here in just a minute. But in our kind of standard STEM in a Boxes, you will get a printed book, a printed curriculum. You will get individual printed activity cards you see in the center there. Then you also get a digital portal. And in the digital portal, our standard curriculums are kind of created for those. Now we're doing STEM. Everybody's doing STEM. Different stations, right? But everybody's doing STEM, like that picture I showed you where we have station of coding, a station of robotics, and maybe 3 or 4 stations out. But we also have included a curriculum for you that is entirely learning center based. So that curriculum has only a single center that you might have out at one time, even though you're still going to use it all through the year, but you don't want to have STEM time, maybe you just want to have your traditional centers and you want to add STEM as a center, we got you. That's actually included in the digital portal. So you really get 2 curriculums and you get the activity cards. Those are focused on literacy, math, social studies, science, and engineering, and you get 50 of those. So that's why we say there's probably 200 hours of we think 2 or 3 years worth of programming included in STEM in a Box programs. Let me see if I'm still. So this is just kind of a quick summary of what's included. I think I've gone over a lot of that. There's a student worksheet bundle. And the digital portal has so much in it. Honestly, I should have had a slide just about the digital portal. We have rubrics, we have assessment, we have PowerPoints for every lesson, because sometimes new people come in, or you might have a substitute come in, might have a volunteer come in, and they don't know any of this work. And sometimes for your adults, when you say STEM, they do this. They say, oh, that's not for me. And we want them instead to lean in and go, oh, that's really easy. This is great. This is so easy to do. So that's our activities and curriculum. The STEM tools, as I said, are heavy duty, long lasting, non-consumable. And then, especially with Angela in the room, I ought to say, what we're probably most proud of, or at least as proud of as any part of the program, is the customer support. We do an unboxing training with you, your leadership team typically first, to make sure you guys are like 100% with everything that's in a STEM in a Box. Then Angela's team will come in and train the teachers, the paraprofessionals in the room, and make sure they're totally comfortable. But we don't go away. We never go away. Every Thursday, she's got a team member back in a virtual, usually meet. We can always do Zoom if you want us to, but usually a meet. We're back in a virtual meeting room every Thursday morning and late every Thursday afternoon, just for drop-in. And people from all over the country using STEM in a Box drop in. They're like, I can't find a piece to my Osmo. And Angela's team will say, no problem. We're going to send you that T that you lost, or that dice of 5 that you lost. Or they'll say, my robot wheel stopped turning, and they'll take a look at it and they'll think there's probably a string in it. Let's pull that out. But if not, we're there to support you. We are all educators. We want this stuff to be used. We want kids to have a chance to work in this world of STEM. And if we don't support you, stuff sits in the shelf. And maybe, again, I hope not at your sites, guys, but at my sites it happened. And it's not right. It's not right. Kids should have access to these things. So she does, again, the customer support team, that onboarding and training includes that the first training. What is this? It just arrived. Every single piece in it, every lesson. Does it need recharging? What do we need to do with it? And then every Thursday. And then we also have a private YouTube channel for that just-in-time training. So there are about 50 some videos in that channel, and you get access within your portal so that your team members can go there at any point. Like they're looking at that snail robot and somebody new comes in and they're like, I'm not sure how to use this. That's okay, because there's a video on it, and they can watch that 3 minutes and go, oh, this is super easy. I got this. So we think we've covered every kind of piece of that training so that we are there to support you as the questions come up, so that these things do get off the shelves and get used. Now, you see over on the side, I'm trying to decide my right and left. It is the right side. On the right side, it does say choice between. Now, we had this request, and it actually started with our teams in Puerto Rico. We sell typically that large class STEM in a Box. We say up to 24, even 30 students at a time. But what we were hearing back from especially a lot of private childcare centers was, it's too much. We don't need that much. And the price is high. I mean, we're talking about, an investment for sure. And we need like half as much of that. So we worked on that over the months, and we built a smaller STEM in a Box for up to 12 students, which is actually less than half the price. So they were delighted. They're like, this is perfect. And we added the Spanish translation, even better. So they were very happy with that. But we also wanted to make it available to everybody in the world of, early learning, because we know that you're not going to have a group of 24 kids. You probably can't have a group of 24 kids. We do know it goes into a lending library really nicely that way, but it might be just fine to have up to 12 students. So what changes with that? I said to you that you get a printed curriculum. I talked about those printed activity cards. We do not provide those printed materials for the smaller class STEM in a Box at the pre-K level. It's very, very expensive to print. I'm sure you guys know that as you're printing things for your own kiddos. So that's part of where we can incur a savings for that. You do still have access in the digital portal to the curriculums. You're still going to get that with a smaller subset of the activity cards. So it is, I mean, it's less, it's half the price. And then of course, fewer tools. So the tools, instead of having 3 of those, much, you know, of the Kobo, 2 of those Kobo, you might have 1 Kobo, enough where you'd have those small groups working, maybe 2 or 3 small groups working at a time. We can talk a lot more about this. If this is something you guys are interested in, we'll take you through a whole demo. But I did want to share that because it's a pretty recent development for us. And it's, we've been working in Puerto Rico for the last few years, and that was just a specific request they had. So you have a request, we will build it, as they say. If they build it, there's a saying about that, but I don't know what it is. So these are some just final kind of going through stations of STEM. I'm going to take you in, if I can, Angela. Let's see if this works. I'm going to try to show you a lot. Angela, tell me if this is still working. Can you still see the photos?
You're able to scroll down and show us the photos, yes.
Excellent. So these first photos you see are kind of the whole group in action. And then we see kids working with different tools with coding. These are all hands-on tools. As you can see, there are some screens. Here are pre-K students using those big oversized puzzle pieces. But this is just a quick look at what does that look like when kids are really working within the different stations. So that just glancing at engineering design, and here we go through our circuitry tools. I know I'm going fast, but remember, I'm going to share this out with you. And then our robotics tool, that was that, here's Cubetto. I was telling you about that. It does take a couple of batteries, but it's so fantastic. And of course, all screen free. And we're still Cutie Pies with the another robot that we use, comparing and contrasting the robots. And then our connected learning stations. You can see we've got our robotic with big oversized wooden pieces of wooden letters and numbers. Digital storytelling. Drones would not be for you all unless you're doing school age, upper school age. So we don't start with drones. It's included here, but disregard the drones piece. So that's a quick look at the stations of STEM, which brings us, I can't believe it's almost 11:50. I told Angela for sure we'd be done in 30 minutes. Not true. So we are at Q&A. I would love to, again, take any questions that you might have. This has been a wonderful opportunity just to talk with you in some detail about being really learner-centered. That's very friendly for students, wonderful for kiddos, but also very friendly for instructors, because we're here to support you as you set this up, as you want to do STEM. We've said, if you came by our booth, we've said many times, STEM in a Box is turnkey, and we mean it. Everything that you need is there. There's nothing else you need to go get, no supplies to go purchase. What you need, if you want to work in STEM and STEAM for your pre-K students, everything you need is included with STEM in a Box. And that we've got lots of people who will share with you how true that is. But anyway, I'm going to stop talking. Again, I've said it, I think 3 times. I'll stop talking. What questions do you have? This is me trying to be really good with wait time. I think that was like 10 seconds. It's sad. It's really sad. It's so hard to wait for questions. Angela, you're in the chat box. Do we have any questions that are there?
I'm not seeing any yet.
Well, again, great pride in my waiting that out. You guys, our email is in here, as well as our phone number. Again, I'm Susan at TechTerra Education. If you remember STEM in a Box and just look under STEM in a Box, you will find us. We're going to share this slide deck with you in case you want to come back and look at our information and ask questions. We would love to have you come into, again, a Zoom or a Meet and have kind of a more detailed conversation about your needs. Where are you now? What ages are you trying to serve with STEM and STEAM? And talk through, you know, what might work at your different sites. So we hope that you'll reach out and schedule a demo. If you go to our website, Angela, will you pop our website into the chat? If you go to our website, it is techteraeducation.com. Although you could put steminabox.com and it would bring it to you bring you to us as well. You actually can schedule a demo right from there. And I think it's down at the bottom, right, Angela, on the website? Is that right? think there's a QR code and you can schedule right from there. I should have had the QR code up on here, but please reach out and let us know how we can help. And if you are finding that, you know, you'd love to have something for your youngest learners, if this sounds like something, gosh, you know, could they do this for our birth to 3? Let us know. Let us know, because we have a lot of years in the space of STEM and STEAM. I could say we have more than anybody, but hard to say. That's a big group of everybody, but we got a lot of years in this space, and we've got hundreds of years of experience with young people. If you add all, I've got probably hundreds myself, just age alone. I'm usually the oldest in the room. If I just keep making my hair this color, nobody will ever know. But please reach out. We would love to talk with you. And I really appreciate y'all's time today to be able to share STEM in a Box with you and share this really great programming for your students and for your teachers. So we'll be here if you want to stick around with questions.